I've survived the 10 days in isolation. Damn wife catching the woo flu. Anyway, let's kick it on and let's see what we can catch today. Morning! We're free, we're allowed out of the house. Just had 10 days of having to isolate because of the wife testing positive for the unnamed virus from unspecified geographical location. Back to work tomorrow. I was working at home last week. For the record, the wife is fine, the baby is fine. She had a couple of days where she had like a bit of a head cold, bit of bunged up and that, but that's as much of the woo flu as that she had. So I'm out today fishing. It's good just to be out. It's great just to be out of the house. Only fishing 3 rods. I could fish 4 if I wanted, but I'm only fishing 3. I'm on the river. I'm just I'm not out by myself. I'm being supervised today. Let's see how today goes, eh?
20 minutes later.
Rig time with Scobes. Last week, or the last time I was out, not last week, because I've obviously done 10 days in isolation. Super fun, by the way. I got asked to run through how I do my free running ledgering rig, and it's provided. It's going to be like I'm going to run through ledgering with you guys. There's a couple of ways to do this, so I'm just going to. First of all, I'm going to go through my standard ledgering rig. Obviously, you have your main line. This is the main line tied to a swivel and a clip. I use a clip so that when I have a fish in the net, I can unclip the trace, leave the fish in the net with the trace in it, and put the rod away. I don't want the rod really near me when I'm trying to unhook the fish, because you're concentrating on the fish, you're not concentrating on where you're putting your feet, and you will eventually step back and you will smash your rod. Nobody wants to smash your rod. That's a bit crap. Next on my ledgering setup, you have a bead. You can use buffer beads. I'm going to have a buffer bead here. I think I do have one. I don't have one. Hold on. I'll get one out for you. That is a buffer bead. That'll be on your main line. That's what your run ring will slide up to. Now, that buffer bead then has 24 inches of rig tubing. This isn't tungsten tubing, this isn't weighted, it's just rig tubing. I've explained that here in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, we're destroyed with zebra mussels. Nobody wants them. They will quite happily nip through braid and destroy your braid. So this 2 feet of rig tubing provides the braid that's beside your terminal tackle the protection it needs so that it doesn't get destroyed. I tend to fish with my rods tight, so your braid won't naturally sit on the bottom. It'll be like a tight line going down, so that the only line that's possibly on the bottom is armoured with this rig tubing. Next, you will have your run ring. It'll run up and down the line nice and freely, and it'll come stuck at the buffer bead. Now on this occasion, I have about 5 feet of 12 pound mono to my lead. This is just purely so that if the lead gets stuck, I can pull the 15 pound or 12 pound, whatever it is, mono. It snaps easy enough, and you get your main line with your trace and everything back to you. As a pike angler, you do not want to put anything into the water, baited trace wise, that you can't bring back. You can lose leads. Leads are cheap, don't worry about leads, but you don't want to lose baited traces. You don't want to leave traces in the water, because pike will pick them up and eat them, and then that's a dead fish. So the traces in its throat. You know, you try eating a hamburger with a wire trace and a couple of trebles in the back of your throat, it's not going to be easy. So this is my main ledgering setup. It's a free running setup, there is no resistance. The pike can pick up the bait, and as soon as it picks up the bait, you will see it in the drop arm, because I use braided line, and the braided line is no stretch, zero stretch, so you'll pick up the bait and it will indicate very, very quickly. With pike fishing, you want to be on the bait, on the rod even, very quickly. You don't want it to, you don't want the pike to swallow the bait, because it causes deep hooking. Deep hooking is bad. We don't want that. But I'm going to go through other types of ledgering setups, or ledgering things that we can use as pike anglers. And a lot of this has been stolen from the carp guys. Never let it be said that the carp guys are useless, because they have some useful things. Just kidding, carp guys. You know I love you. Oh, I'll get my bait, get my box here. Right. You can go into a shop and you can buy a packet of run rings. This is what you'll get. These are little plastic rings that slide up and down the line, and this is what we all started off using as pike anglers, because before this came out, you basically, what you did was you threaded your swivel on your main line, so it run up and down your main line to your trace, and you maybe had a bead in the clip. That was the very, very basics of pike fishing, like right back in the 90s when I started it. And then these things came out, these little plastic run rings. Now, these were great. They were very, very good. But over time, with using braid, the braid will wear a groove in these. And because you have, you know, like that's a 4 ounce, 4.5, that's a 3.5, nope, that is 4.5. That is a 4.5 ounce lead. If you're casting that, and this has a little bit of a groove in it and it snaps, you then have this flying at somebody, or flying at you. Now this will ruin your day. If this hits you in the back of the head, you're going to be dizzy for a little bit. So, whilst these were great to start, these were brilliant when they first came out. You know, things improved, things got better. I started to use these. These are from Catfish Pro. This is basically this is the same material as a rod ring for your rod. It's a little ceramic guide with a metal ring around it. The braid won't cause any sort of like wearing, it won't wear through this. You'll cast this a million years and it won't degrade, it won't rust, it won't go to bits. These are expensive though. These, for a pack of 3 of them, it's like £7. But again, they will last for as long as I will as an angler. So this is what I use. There is other methods you can use. There is a company called John Roberts who makes these, who makes a lot of stuff that's very good for pike angling. This is a lead link. This is a lead ledger. This will be slid on your line. Your lead will be clipped to that there little clip there, and again it'll slide up and down on your line. Because when it's under tension, let me just put a lead on it. When it's on your rod, it tends to sit like that there, because the lead puts a bit of tension on it, and this basically can spin around. This then, it's kind of meant to stop tangling on the cast. It's pretty good at what it does. I know guys that use these all the time and they've no problems with them. I don't have any issues with them. I don't really use them that much just because I'm happy with what I use. But that is an option. If you look for John Roberts, I'm going to put a link to a guy called Eddie Turner. His shop has a lot of John Roberts stuff, and Eddie's an absolute diamond of a guy to deal with. He'll sort you out, good guy. So You can pick up these little John Roberts lead slider thingies. I don't know what the proper name for them is, but again, I know guys that use these to this day and they've no problems with them, and you know, whatever works for them.
Just then.
Uh-oh. Just you stay there, Mr. Heron. Please just stay there.
Later.
Do you want to know how anglers lose access to fisheries? They do stupid things, like come down here. Now we know this is pike anglers because they've left their Dennet size 2 snap tackle. Nice picture of a pike on it there. They've got their barbecue in there. They've got their bottles of beer in there. Landowners don't tend to like the cattle eating broken glass or aluminium barbecues, or bird life doesn't like monofilament left everywhere. Doesn't tend to be too good for the old bird life. So to the humans that brung boxes of beer and barbecues, it's okay lads, we'll tidy up your fucking mess. Do humanity a favour guys, go and step in traffic. One of the things I get asked quite a lot through the fishing that I do for the pike is about getting baits, you know, distance, getting them far away. And I say that the rods I use, the 12 foot 3.5 test rods built by Dave Lum, perfect for what I have to do for casting a big distance. But this is an important thing. You don't have to cast to the stars. I mean, there's me fishing at a rod length and I'm fishing into deep water here, so that's the sunken float rig. The little float you see on the surface isn't really to be, it's just there to keep the float, the water, the line at the top of the water. Your sunken float, your polyball, it keeps the bait off the bottom, it's doing all the hard work. But that's your little roach, it's just sitting there about 5 foot off the bottom, wafting around, doing its thing. The tail broke off this one when I took it out of when it was frozen. It, you know, didn't thaw out enough. It snapped the tail off, so it's missing like the last inch of a tail. So all its natural juices is just going to pump out into the flow of the river, and that's going to go down with the current and hopefully bring the pike up. It's a simple way to fish. You know, I went over the sunken float rig on my last video. Adding a little float to it is just, you know, you want to use as small a float as you can get away with. I'm having to use a 35 gram, it's an old Fox Dart float that I've found in the bottom of the box. Don't really use them for anything because it's too light for everything. But you just want enough so it's holding the line at the surface from the current. If the current's too strong, the float's too light, it'll get pushed under and it just drags in the water. Drag is bad, it puts resistance on your bait, and it also makes bite indication a bit of a chore, shall we say. So that's literally maybe a rod and a half length from me. So let's see how we get on with that one. Remember kids, you don't always have to whack stuff to the horizon to catch pike.
More moments later.
Update time. No runs, no pike. Lots of weed coming down the river, so all the rods are getting wiped out by weed. Normally at this time of the year the weed would all have been like dead and through the system, but we only really started getting the first below negative temperatures like a couple of weeks ago, so we'll still have a lot of weed to go down through the river system. But I thought I'd come to the river today just for somewhere bit of change, somewhere different. You've seen me fish this place before. We had a lot of rain recently, so the river is moving. The river always seems to, well, normally it fishes better when the river's moving. I have two rods that I'm ledgering, and one is a sunken float Patnoster. do something a little bit special. Apart from that, it's been quiet. It's been a cracking day. You know, apart from the whole lifting up a bag of somebody else's rubbish. I'll take that home and throw it in the bin. There is a lot of small fish activity here. You've seen a lot of fish splashing on the surface. We were fishing maybe a couple of hours. A load of guys came down, well, 2 carloads of guys came down to try and do some feeder fishing, I reckon. They didn't stay, they kind of turned and drove away again. I don't know why, because there was tons of space. I mean, there's all the field down below here that's full of space for them to fish, but they didn't stay. It's good to be back out in the in with the humans after being locked down for 10 days. I have people saying to me, you know, well, if you had took your inoculations, you would have been okay to go back to work. It's like, didn't mean a fucking damn bit of difference. I worked from home. Instead of going into the office, I worked from home. So, hey ho. It wasn't all bad. I got to have random daddy-daughter kind of moments. 5-month-old is hilarious. It's the random noises, like blood-curdling screams, like you'd swear the child was being hurt and you run up there and she's giggling at you, laughing at you. It's like, okay, child is insane. But apart from that, it's all good. I'm going to move the overnighter to further on in the month. Get some stuff sorted out. I've got to go Christmas shopping as well at some point. I hate Christmas shopping. So where are we this week? In the land of news, what is happening this week? Well, I see that there was a rather unfortunate chap who somehow managed to fall on a World War II artillery shell, and bad enough luck that he fell over. The World War II artillery shell went right up his bottom. Fell. Didn't at all push it in there himself. Fell. Can you imagine being like the bomb disposal guy, you know? Okay.
This is a new one for you.
This is. Do we get the bomb disposal robot, or do we go in hands in? No. Send the robot.
Who's going to suit up for that one?
Yep. Get the robot. But remember, folks, he fell. Don't be getting it into your mind that he was some sort of pervert walking along a beach and seen something he liked and went, "Ooh, I know where I can hide that." This'll surprise the missus when I go home and go, "I have a surprise for you." No. We have a new flavour of the unnamed virus from unspecified geographical location that's threatening to spoil Christmas, even though the scientist who found it in South Africa said that it is just like a cough, you know, it's not really that bad, and that nobody in South Africa where it came from has died from it. But we have the usual suspects calling for the UK to be locked down and
Fucking better not be a weak fish.
Is it a weed fish? Or is it a pike? I'm betting it's a weed fish. Weed. Oh well. We'll do cooking with Scobes in a minute. I'll have to wait till after I have my coffee. Still having to mentally process how this human being finds World War II ordnance and then decides to fall on it. You know, I have friends that are in the NHS as nurses, and some of them discuss the various things that people have fallen on. In other news, in the Belfast Telegraph, not a newspaper that I would ever buy, but I get like updates on Facebook from random people. Belfast has a sex dungeon Airbnb. Belfast. Sex dungeon. Airbnb. Wow. I'm going to have to Google that one and check the reviews, eh? It's just gone 4:30. The sun has well and truly set behind the hill behind me, or on the hill behind me, before some grammar Nazi corrects me. No pike. Millions and millions of weed fish. Crap. But we're out the house. We're not on lockdowns, which is awesome. No cooking with Scobes this week. Cooking with Scobes is going to be a takeaway on the way home, because I can't be bothered. Honestly, I can't be bothered cooking. I know. Cooking with Scobes is like a feature that people love, and I am sorry to disappoint you, but today it's kind of a low energy.
We'll make up for it.
Yep, we'll make up for it. The weekender that I promised, it will happen. Honestly, it will happen. It's just going to happen in the middle of the month. I'll try and get it done before Christmas. I'll try and get something sorted out.
Christmas special?
Yeah, sort of a Christmas special. But I'm going to wind in the two rods and the rod pod here, and get things packed up to head home again. The temperatures are kind of where we want them to be. It's nice and cool, you know. The oil that was frozen this morning is well, it's getting to that stage where it won't be long till it's a solid mess of goo, which is great. That stuff there, a wee trick for that one. I'll put the bits fresh out of the freezer, so they're still rock solid. Put the hooks on them and pour a bit of that over the top of them, so while the bit's still frozen solid, it turns that stuff into like a batter. So when you cast it out, eventually the batter thaws, then the scent goes down through the river, and that's how that's meant to work. Didn't work today, but we'll give it the old we'll give it another try the next occasion. Gonna say thank you to everyone who's liking, sharing, subscribing and all of that other good stuff. Unfortunately, you might not see this video on Facebook, because I've just been put to Facebook jail for another 7 days. The reason I've been put in Facebook jail is I asked a question on a, I think it was LBC or some shit like that, about these hippies that's sitting down in the road and stopping the ambulances getting into the hospitals. I asked the question, and I can't remember the exact words, but there was no sweary words in it. There was no, you know, get stuck into these pricks and batter them. None of that. It was, I wonder when the police are going to treat these people the same way they treat us working class types, you know, who go to watch football matches. Because if you've ever been to watch a football match, you know, in the Scottish League or the Premier League, then you know the police, they just itch to get any excuse to whip out the old truncheon of justice and split skulls. So it makes me kind of wonder, you know, why these hippies are allowed to, I say hippies, the communists, why these far left communist agitators are allowed to block major roads, why they're being given so much airtime on TV. I mean, it seems like every breakfast TV show they've got one of the fuckers on giving it the whole, what we're doing is the same as what Churchill did against the Nazis. Really? Is it really? Don't think so. I think you might be over exaggerating it there. We live in clown world. I swear we live in a clown world. Anyway, until next time, troops, tight lines.